Today, my friends, I'm going to be talking to you about the Viltrox 56mm F1.4. It has finally been released by Viltrox, it's cheap, and it competes with Fuji's own 56mm, and perhaps even the 50mm. Let's get into it. First up, we've got to talk about price. This is the first thing that you really need to consider when you're thinking about the Viltrox, not anything else. Now, I managed to snag this for around 250 quid. Now, when you look at that compared to the Fuji 56mm new, that's around 700 pounds, maybe 800. Sometimes you get the cashback offers as well, which can bring that around to about 600. So it's still quite pricey, unless of course you go grey import, which some people don't like to do. Then we've also got Fuji's new 50mm F1.0. and that hovers around the £1,500 mark. 250 quid compared to like 700 compared to 1,500. This lens here is helping amateur and entry-level photographers and videographers perhaps to get into the Fuji system. But this doesn't feel like a cheap lens to me. If you'd have told me that this was 250 quid, I would have said you were lying. I would have guessed at around £300 to £400 compared to the rest of the systems, but so cheap. When you put all of the Viltrox lenses together that are currently available for the Fuji lineup, that's the 23, the 33, the 56, and the 85 Mark II even, they all come in a lot cheaper than the Fuji equivalent, which roughly you might be paying around 3 to 4 times as much. Now I have to ask myself, in terms of return on investment, can these lenses give me a similar image quality? Yes. Can they give me a better image quality? Maybe even. They're faster at focusing. They're nicely and modernized, and at the bottom here as well, so if you're ever worried about updates, at the bottom here it's got an upgrade system, so you can plug in your USB and upgrade the lens. So for me, I think this lens is definitely worth the price. Is it better than Fuji's equivalents? Well, I think when you talk about Fuji's lenses, there's a certain magic, let's say. Is that magic worth 2 or 3 times the price? That's down to you. So let's do a little rundown of the tech specs of the Viltrox 56mm. It's an 85mm full frame equivalent. Whether that matters to you or not, I don't know. It's got tail elements in 9 groups, and it has got a minimum focus distance of 0.6 meters. So I can probably reach out my hand and have my camera there and just about get it into focus, if that helps you or not. The weight of the lens, this is not a heavy lens at all. This is actually a really nice street photography lens, and as you can see by the pictures that I've been displaying, I've really enjoyed shooting with it, and you know, I'm not a professional photographer. It does work with IAF, and it focuses pretty well, so yeah, I'm really pleased about that. I'm going to be doing another video segment on this lens, so I don't know how well it is for filmmaking, you know, pulling focus and all that stuff. So on the front of the lens as well, it's got a 52mm thread, which is great. That's the same as the Fuji 35mm. The one thing about this lens as well, it's got a clickless aperture ring, but when you're turning it, it's not smooth when you're filming or when you're taking pictures. You do see that stepping. Aperture issues aside, this lens really is a winner in my eyes. It's lightweight, it's cheap, it's got a really nice build quality to it. When you factor in the other Viltrox lenses, never before have you been able to get a set of fast wide aperture primes for such a cheap price. They really are helping people with low budgets not miss out on premium imagery, and that's what makes this lens so special. I'm Alps Lifey, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.